Welcome to the Social Your Sales podcast. Social has changed the B2B and professional services sales landscape forever. We are here to help you navigate what you need to know and how to execute these new strategies. Whether you are a sales leader, individual producer, or a member of the C-suite looking for answers, this is the podcast for you. Now here are your hosts, Brandon and Erik.
Hey everybody, welcome to Social Your Sales, and this next episode, we're going to have to start getting the numbers down, because I've lost track.
134.
There you go, 134. Yeah, perfect, that sounds good. Hey, we just had a conversation with Nick Raeburn, that video nerd,
Yep.
and he's the founder and head nerd of Vireal Media,
Yep.
and we talked about video for social.
And it's one of my favorite topics, as you know. I am another video nerd. I have a studio in my house, so I guess that means I'm a video nerd. It was really actually fascinating what he's doing. He's bringing the average person that has no video experience at all, that is going to be engaging in social selling, that wants to be active on LinkedIn with video, because people watch video. If you present it right, if it looks interesting, it's one of the best ways to get somebody's attention, if it's done right. And he teaches you, even if you're not comfortable in front of a camera, and he does this all remotely, he teaches you how to create the story, do all the sort of the front end work. You need to get the confidence to then go on camera with your iPhone. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, you can do the whole thing, even the editing right there on your iPhone. It's very simple.
Yep.
He tells you all the resources you need to do that. And it's a phenomenal concept to be able to bring people up this echelon to more professional looking video with their own phone without anybody else to tell them how to do it, other than Nick. I really appreciated his approach to this, where you're not looking for somebody to become a technology maven.
Right. You know what I liked about it is Nick really spoke to both you and I. And what I mean by that is you have history in video, and you like it to be the way you like to be it.
Yeah.
And I'm the hack that just turns on my phone and starts talking. And it has, my subtitles aren't good, or I got a bad logo and all that stuff, which, for me, it's starting and going is better than not doing it. But I've got to move towards you. But I think in this world, most people don't have to be as sophisticated as you are with video. And so he's able to kind of speak in the middle ground for both of us, where you were like, yeah, you know what, maybe, that is good. I could do it all on one app on my phone.
Yeah.
But it was really good for me to know I could do it better.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant idea, and really so important and so topical for content generation today, which is something that we all need to be creating more valuable content, important content that's going to be seen. And what do you have to do to try and make it be seen?
Yeah. And I have this question, and this will be, if you're watching it on YouTube, put it in the comments. If you're on our podcast, find us on LinkedIn or anywhere and let us know. We talk about the value of content a lot, and I'm always curious, which is harder to get started for people that aren't creating content currently? Is it harder to write or to do video for them to start? Because I know there's a fear factor of both. And I'm really curious. What would you think? Doing
the video is actually simple. It's really about the content. It's really about creating a story, because when I say creating the content has to be part of the creative process of telling a story, not of reading. Although the way he presents this, which is very interesting.
Yeah, don't give it away. Make them listen.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Good idea. No, he's right. There's a way you can be highly scripted and do this really well and very effectively. So, you need to just listen to the podcast.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Listen to the podcast.
All right.
All right, everybody. Here we go with Nick Raeburn, that video nerd.
Perfect.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Social Your Sales podcast. I am Brandon Lee, and this is my partner, Erik Holdo.
Hello.
There you go.
Yep.
And we have Nick Raeburn with us today, who is the founder and head nerd for Vireal Media. And what they do is they help people create, leverage, and convert prospects with powerful video. And I love this, Nick. He says they are the Yoda to your Luke on the journey of video self-discovery. And before we get started, because you got to throw this in there, his very first customer was no other than Sir Elton John. And we're going to talk about that because it's Sir Elton John. So, Nick, welcome to Social Your Sales.
How are you doing, guys? It looks like a nice, bright, sunny day. I'm actually quite jealous because it's grey and miserable and dark and cold and wintry now in England.
So it's a normal day.
As I say, you didn't have to say all that.
Pretty-average day.
You just had to say I'm in England, and we would have got
Yeah. Misty, foggy streets. Yes, it's nice to be here with you guys and talking about a subject that I'm extremely passionate about, which is video. And I was saying to you guys before we kind of fired things up that up until probably 6 months to a year ago, we were a video marketing agency. So we used to create content for other large agencies and white label that stuff, and create content for brands as well. And then COVID hit. And we were like, well, we can't go out and film. We can't go out and record anything. So I was like, well, I need to figure out a way of creating a revenue stream. So I kind of built a training arm to the company and started coaching and training people on how to produce video content. And it just took off. It exploded, and I found I really enjoyed it. And it's something that's kind of transformed the kind of core of my business. And something that would have never have been on my roadmap for the business at all, but COVID kind of forced me down that route, and I absolutely love it now. It's phenomenal.
Just for clarity, tell me, to what extent are you training them? I mean, is it people using an iPhone and a selfie stick? Is it the people that are walking in their neighborhoods and filming themselves working out and talking about the business? Or
So we specifically target, most of my lead gen comes from LinkedIn, as you know, because I'm quite prevalent on there. So we know that a lot of the people that we're targeting some of them can be at kind of C-suite level. We know that people need to have a fairly quick turnaround with their content. So the way I've kind of structured the course, I do one-to-one training, and we do group sessions as well. But the way I've structured those is I want to kind of give you a grounding in how to create content quickly, efficiently, and to a standard that is going to reflect your personal brand well. So we use obviously smartphones is a large component of that. There's no reason, absolutely zero reason for anyone not to be creating content on their smartphone these days. The new iPhones are just phenomenal.
You can create movies. I mean, motion
pictures.
Yeah.
There's no, and the I think on the new.
The 13, I think, has a
iPhone 13. Yeah, they've got there's a depth mapping sensor on there now, so you can shoot stuff. This blows my mind, and this is how smartphones are starting to eclipse traditional cameras in that regard, in that you can shoot a scene, and then after you've shot the scene, you can pull focus between things.
Which is incredible. That was like the old days of like the Red Box or Black Magic or one of those that there was this concept of this infinite focus where you could take depth of field and change it. I'm starting to geek out. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I apologize.
I was just saying, if you guys want to keep going, I will excuse myself and go have a cup of coffee. You can totally nerd out on video, and we'll talk about sales later.
But the point is that you can create a video these days that's every bit as good as anything else. And so are you training them on how to structure it, on the actual action of editing, things like that?
Yeah, so we cover literally we want to kind of give them a really kind of solid grounding, a solid base kind of work off in terms of kind of thinking about their pre-production, their scripting, the kinds of content they're going to be putting out, editing, everything. And then distribution as well. So we cover everything in that session to get them to kind of give them that. The whole point of this is to kind of get them up, moving and making content. And you guys know as well as I do that once you get into the kind of habit formation principle of doing it, you're just going to get stronger and better at doing it. So it's kind of giving them that initial push to kind of go, it's okay, you can do this stuff, get out there and make it. And I put a post up about this today, and it really really irritated a lot of agencies, but the core messaging behind it was you need to be responsible and serious about taking your content creation in-house and not relying on agencies to create this stuff. You need to learn how to do it. It's important.
Yeah, well, and I think that message goes to in-house agencies as well, and companies, right? It's the brand police can only do so much, and when it comes to a C-suite or executive leadership or even a sales professional. If it's not personal, it's not authentic, it's not relational, it's just not going to play.
And you know, one of the big problems we have, at least here in the U.S. with most marketing departments, is they want to control every aspect of the brand when it goes out. So if you create a video and you've got the company logo on it, it's a fireable offense. And I'm being serious. It's actually, in some cases, a fireable offense to do that because it's not officially, brand and brand messaging. But they've got to get over it because, quite frankly, the people out in the field are better at creating that engaging content if they have the tools as you train.
Because it's them. This is the exact conversation I was having with people in this post. Is that they're like they were going, we can create content and it's in their authentic voice, and it's like, well, if there's any disparity between that content and what you deem to be their authentic voice, and then they're having because the whole point, as we know, is it's not so much about the content, it's about the space that content creates for you to have a conversation.
Right.
And if there's a disparity between the content and the actual conversation you're having, customers and prospective customers, your audience, a signal flare goes up. It's like, well, this isn't the same person speaking to me.
Right. And
what's going on?
How many times have you seen somebody that, all of their corporate communications is sort of down this path, and then when you start talking to them, you realize that that's not really the value proposition that they present. That's not the benefit to their clients.
It's not who they are.
It's not who they are. It's because they've been listening, even though marketing is sort of charge or ready, fire, aim. In many cases in their marketing effect. I will tell you that we have. I remember I was working for a company that manufactured big printers, big printers, and we had created this product that could print like fluorescent-looking colors, amazing. We created a print piece for marketing. We sent it to them. We said, this has got to be produced on that new printer because it's going to wow people. And they produced it on the same machine that they always produce everything else out, and they mailed it out at a cost of $50,000. And we're looking at it going, what did you do? you took this piece that we've worked with color scientists to develop.
That story is just suddenly gone. Whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah. It's terrible, because there's that disconnect between the field, or the people that should be creating that content, and those who wish to take control of it.
And this is something I really passionately believe in as well. I wrote an article about it a while ago about the death of advertising. In that with social, everything you do can be completely contextual. I've had conversations with clients where they've gone, because I know that they're watching my content, I'll put out a specific piece of content that specifically speaks to that person, and then they'll come back to me and go, that article you wrote, it's like you wrote it for me. And it's like, yeah, because I did write it for you.
Right.
You can't do that with advertising. You can't be that hyper contextual with advertising, and you can't be that conversational with advertising. It's an outdated it's a dead medium. You cannot think and react as quickly as you can on social media, and advertising doesn't allow you to do that.
So Nick, talk to us. We've got sales leaders, we have sales professionals who'll be listening. When you're talking about video, why should they be thinking this way about video, the way you're talking about kind of organic, personal, quick video? Why is that so important?
It's that there's no better medium short of someone being in the room and you being able to smell them than video. We're animals.
That's not always a good thing, by the way.
It's not always a good thing.
Are you talking about me again?
No, not
See
you.
what I put up with?
We are the psychology behind it. We're animals, and a lot of what we do in a social environment is it's non-verbal. It's body language. It's cues. It's things you do with your body as well as your voice. And the beautiful thing about video is it captures all those elements. It's like you're having a conversation with the person in the room, but you're in control of it. And there's there is no excuse for salespeople not to be leveraging video in their content. But the problem they have, I think, is that it's so drummed into them, this kind of corporate facade of they need to be kind of hammering home this kind of corporate messaging, and they need to be given the tool set and the free rein to be more themselves on video, and that's a scary prospect for a lot of larger companies.
Well, it's a scary prospect for a lot of companies in just writing their own social post, and then you talk about creating an image and going to video. It's like, the brand police are like, well, we got to check the hex code, you got to do this, you got to do that, and by the time they get through all of it, salespeople are like, I'm not doing this, and then you're right back to cold calls and emails. And lunches and dinners and conferences when you can.
You're essentially, it's the complete opposite of what you should be doing. You're kind of sucking the soul of the humanity out of this thing by not letting them be themselves and be human, be authentic, be vulnerable. I always prefer the term vulnerable, I think, to authentic. I'm not a big fan of the word authentic because it gets banded around a lot. I think when you can be vulnerable, when you can open up to someone. It's not something that everyone's going to do on LinkedIn, but I put a post up last year. Was it last year? Mm-hmm. No, I think it was this year. Actually, it was this year. About trauma I went through as a child. One of the hardest pieces of content I've ever had to produce. So I knew I was going to do it, and it was on my kind of list of things to do. For about 8 weeks, I was like, I'm too busy, I can't do this, I'm too busy. I just kept putting it off. And then I did it, I recorded it, cut it together because I was just a blubbering mess while I was recording it. And then for about 30 minutes, my finger hovered over the post button of that video. I was like, it's one of those kind of sliding doors, like, this is either, I don't think you can think like that with your content, but I was like, what happens when I hit this post button? What's going to happen? And then it was the most glorious, amazing thing I've ever done in my life. It allowed me to kind of own my voice, my digital voice on the platform. I had over 100 DMs from various people that had either been through kind of similar things or knew people that had. And I even had one guy that ended up kind of confronting his abuser based off the fact of the back of my videos. So I was like, that off that one post, it's like it was eye-opening, just transformational in terms of being able to affect that many people. It was beautiful. The most beautiful thing I've ever done.
Part of the fear that people have in doing that is the trolls. That for years, LinkedIn, everyone would post, this doesn't belong on LinkedIn. This, put this on Facebook. This is personal. And we sit and we talk with our clients about that human factor, that human to human sales. That's what we're doing. So it's very business oriented to let people understand who you are as an individual.
Absolutely, we've all got hopes, dreams, and aspirations, and we all, it's the kind of traditional marketing funnel in kind of sort of terms of know, like, and trust. And on the training that I go through with clients, I break those types of content down into specific kinds of video content. But you want, at the top, you want people to know who you are. You want to present as a human, and you can't do that by not being vulnerable and opening up to the people on the platform. And it's a scary prospect for some people to do that, and some people don't want to kind of go down that route. But I like to think if I can go to that length and do that, you can, it's empowering other people to do it, to take action.
I'm curious, did anyone on that post actually respond with anything negative about keeping these things?
not one single negative comment.
Goodness.
And I think a large part, I've said this to a lot of people, but a large part of the component of why I like LinkedIn is because it is driven by money. There's a lot of brands on there, a lot of employees, a lot of employers, and a lot of large corporates. And people don't generally want to come across as a dick because it's going to hurt their pocket. So it's quite from a social media platform perspective, it's civil. A very nice place. It's more civil. It's a nice place to hang out, and it's one of the few social media platforms I admire because of that. Because it's because it is just nice. It's a nice place to be in, and you can engage in discourse with people, and generally people aren't too trolly. You will get the occasional troll in there, but it's generally a really nice place to hang out.
Yeah, that's really good. So Nick, we've got a team, we've got sales professionals. I know that you say that you help take teams from analog to digital. What should sales leaders or sales professionals that want to own their book of business or their territory for themselves, how do they get started? What should they be thinking about?
Why, in terms of video, do you mean?
Yeah, in terms of video. Because I mean, look, there's a progression. I get it, but I think there's a lot of people with the acceleration from COVID. It's not just I need to go create my own post now. It's I need to do this whole thing better because my pipeline is hurting, my commissions are hurting, I'm scared I'm going to lose my job, my team isn't doing this, whatever. And they're looking at the whole thing more holistically. So I don't think it's not going to be as usual for people to go from I never posted to doing video. I don't think that progression of building up steam to get there is necessary right now. I think the pain is real.
I'm with you. I think it's I'm a big fan of base jumping. I'm just like here we go. Let's grab the ripcord and just jump. Let's go. I think they need to own it. They need to start acknowledging the fact that if they want to talk to prospective clients on these platforms, they need to present an image, and they need to present and show their face. And like I said, video is the best way. It's the reason why LinkedIn have now added a cover story feature to
I know
profile.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about that, I know you've been assigned or asked to be on some sort of a board, and I didn't know the details, but stories kind of came and went, didn't it? I mean, where are we at with LinkedIn stories?
I'm talking about your cover story. So it's the small
right. Circular thing.
Yeah,
sorry,
the little circular thing on your profile. But yeah, they've killed off stories. That's they've.
Now, rumor has it it's coming back. No,
I think it's just been zapped.
Okay.
It's been axed. Yeah, they've got rid of it. I think they're replacing it with something else entirely. What that is, I'm not at liberty to say, or because I've signed lots of NDAs, so we can't talk about that.
Yeah, but that's great for our audience to understand. I mean, you're on a non-disclosure. I'm not going to ask you to break it, but you are working with LinkedIn on video work. To make user experience better, and that's who we're listening to right now.
Yes, so I'm working with LinkedIn on LinkedIn has a learning platform at the moment. It's been quite active for some time, but it's very I guess because of the big kind of push they're doing at the moment in terms of whether people know it or not. Obviously, they've added creator mode to the platform. Yep. They're really putting a push towards creators. They've rolled out a $25 million program in the US to sign up 100 creators to the platform. They'll be rolling that out through the rest of the regions, the rest of the world soon as well. But there's a really big push to kind of empower creators on the platform, because they know it's the creators that keep making the good content that's pulling people into the platform to want to engage. So there's a really big push towards the whole creator movement. And what they're doing with the training platform, their existing training platform they've got at the moment, it's very corporate and very for want of a better word, kind of classroom environment kind of led. And what they're doing is they're reaching out to a lot of creators like myself, Alex B. Sheridan's another video guy that I know, to get us to create content in a more authentic, human-led, creator-driven way, to get people to use the platform, basically. So the content that I'm working on with them is how to find your voice on LinkedIn. So it's basically kind of taking you from initially starting on the platform to sort of discovering your kind of digital persona. And I kind of liken it to a bit like Bruce Wayne and Batman. Real world, you've kind of got Bruce Wayne, but your digital persona can be Batman. You can be a bit more, a bit more flamboyant and a bit more, because it gives you and some of the best people I know that do really well on the platform are actually introverts. I am a little bit introverted myself. You wouldn't believe it if you met me in person, but I'm not great in with large crowds of people or large groups of people. I'm quite introverted, but it allows you, it gives you that kind of filter in place social to kind of be a bit more open and a bit more, because you can, it's like, well, I disagree with that person's trolling me. Okay, well, I can hit the block button. You can't do that in real life. So that'll be launching in the next few months. So.
Social Your Sales will be right back.
Is your sales team struggling to hit quota? Are your buyers ignoring your sales requests for conversations? The third tier of digital transformation is social. Is your team equipped to meet this challenge? This show is brought to you by FunnelAmplified. We help sales teams align their sales process with how modern buyers prefer to make their purchase decisions. FunnelAmplified is a social selling platform that drives new opportunities with your sales team, using proven social selling tactics to drive pipelines and hit quotas. With FunnelAmplified, it's quota achieved. To learn more about FunnelAmplified or start a free trial, please visit us at FunnelAmplified.com.
In creator mode, let me just ask you a quick question. They moved the about section just sort of out of the way. Was that with intent that they did that? It's the one complaint I hear about many of my colleagues out there.
They've moved it down because and they've moved the featured section up because they want people. The first thing they want people to see is that variation of content. It's like there's your PDFs, your videos, your podcasts. They want that whole kind of gamut of like, here's a 3-dimensional person, and then we're going to move down to their about section. It's building up a much more 3-dimensional, much more human picture of who that person is through their content, which is brilliant.
And here's the opportunity when we talk about their emphasis and push into creator mode. And I just looked it up to make sure that I was accurate. And I think this number is still right. But there's about 750 million people on LinkedIn. And their own data says only about 3 million people share on a weekly basis. So what
it's around 1% of the entire, and this fries my mind. 1% of the entire platform creates content, and of that 1%, even less creates video content.
Right.
So,
and that's where the opportunity.
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Why wouldn't you create video content?
Video is the richest medium, right? As you said, you get the facial cues, you get the nonverbals, and all that. And I think a lot of it is the fear of doing it.
Fear.
So that's what I mean. I love having you on. Is how do you get people over that fear? You talked about your training goes know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
And you walk them through that process.
Yeah, so a lot of what we talk about initially is just kind of getting comfortable, because it's the most strangest real experience in the world, speaking to a piece of glass, speaking to this thing. I've been involved in production and direction for over 20 years. I've been doing it for over half my life, and I've always directed people on the other side of the camera. And when I started creating content myself, I was like, this is the strangest thing, being on the other side of the lens and actually like speaking to this thing. I was like, I get why people are intimidated, and it's just weird, because it's completely unnatural to be talking to a little black box and thinking that it's a person. But it's like any muscle. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with that process, and that's where there comes a point where the mechanics of it slip away. You're comfortable with the process, and then the real you starts to come out, because you're not hung up. And I've watched this with a lot of my students' content. You can see initially when they first start producing video, they're uncomfortable, that it's not normal, it's not natural, and they're very tensed up. Their body language is a lot more closed, because they're a lot more conscious of what they're doing. But when it becomes secondary, when it becomes subconscious and a reflex, you naturally relax, you open up, your body language becomes a lot more relaxed, and the real you comes across. And when that happens, that's when the magic starts to happen.
What about I think some people might have a concern, all right, I have a smartphone, but I don't have a bunch of software, I don't have creative people to do this editing and titling or anything like that. What do they have to worry about, and what can they do? And are you teaching them how to actually use different platforms, or are they just basically using very simple tools?
So one of the biggest tools that I recommend to a lot of my students, and it is unfortunately Apple based, but a lot of people do have iPhones these days, is Clips, Apple Clips. Mm-hmm. It is extremely powerful, and it's a really great way of kind of dipping your toe in the water of using non-linear editing software, because you can record inside the app, and then you can just literally adjust your edit inside the app. You can add effects, you can add still images, you can add music, and it lets you do it all inside the app. It's so simple. My mum could use it.
You mean after all my work learning Premiere Pro, I don't. I need now to go to just Apple Clips on my phone. Great, great.
Well, this is it's empowering people who have got no inclination or no interest in spending, years kind of mastering this craft, to get up and running as quickly as possible and using this stuff as quickly as possible to start churning out content.
Well, once it democratizes the process, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's the point, is we want people out there creating content. We could be, I said this the other day, we could be sitting on the next Mozart of marketing and we wouldn't even know it, or someone that's in your sales team that is absolutely phenomenal on camera, got a real presence, and they love kind of adding in effects and kind of building out story. You'd never know that person existed in your team if they're not out there creating content, and they could be absolutely phenomenal for your business. But until they're out there creating that stuff, you're never
until they're allowed to go out there and create it. And
until they're allowed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What that brings me, I discovered Clips because I wanted subtitles in my videos, and I found that Clips was the easiest thing because it would add them in while I recorded. I didn't have to go back and load and all that.
That's why I recommend it to my students. It's beautiful to use in that regard. I hate captioning. I hate it. I can't stand it. I hate captioning. So
but you think it's necessary for news feeds because
absolutely.
People don't have to turn on sound. Okay. I just want to make sure I was right. I want to make sure I should keep using subtitles.
Although I will say that I use I do a lot of captioning, and I use Subtitle. It's an online service. I don't have any connection with them, so this is not a commercial. Mm-hmm. But it's the accuracy of punctuation and spelling and voice. It's phenomenal how well they do. And pretty flexible interface. So if you want to take that next step, or you are uploading the video, I think something like that works very well. But to the extent you can do it right within an app.
From an accessibility standpoint, most of the video content by default is played with the sound off on the platform, so having subtitles is massively important.
Right.
The big differentiator with Clips is that it does what we call it hard codes the subtitles, so it burns them into the video. Where you can, if you upload video content through your browser, through LinkedIn, you can upload a separate, and you'll probably know this, you can upload a separate SRT file. I think eventually doing that on YouTube massively helps your SEO, and I think at some point it probably will with LinkedIn as well. So
with loading a separate SRT file, because it then reads the content for SEO.
And Subtitle gives you the SRT file as well as the burning it onto the image.
I
use a plugin on there because I'm a Final Cut guy, so I use a plugin called Simon Says.
Final Cut. I didn't know anyone was still on Final Cut. I got rid of my Final Cut.
I've cut. Okay, I've cut on Avid. I've cut on Premiere. I've cut on Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve, and I've cut on Final Cut. And Final Cut blows every single one of them out of the water in terms of speed.
Bold statements.
We're hitting the nerds.
Okay, sorry.
Well, hey Nick, as we wrap up, how there's so many directions I think this conversation can go, and we may have to bring you back. But where does somebody start? Outside of your course, and I'll give you a chance to tell everybody about how to connect with you in your course. But how do they start? Like, what do you recommend?
It's I think probably the biggest component of people not wanting to do this is fear. Is what will people think? Will I screw up? Will I get it wrong? This is something, and this is magical and quite transformational in terms of kind of creating content. What I get a lot of my clients to do and a lot of my students to do is when they're creating content, a lot of people like to kind of ad lib stuff, or they like to work off of kind of key points. I'm very much like a machine when it comes to creating my content. You wouldn't think it looking at my content, but my content's very structured. And if you're doing it properly, all of the work is done in what we call pre-production. So I meticulously script out all of my content, and I get my students to do the same. And then I get them to kind of do a line at a time, double space the script, and then do another line. That way, they don't have to memorize what they're saying. They don't have to kind of concentrate on what they're saying off the screen. They can just remember it, and they've only got to do a line at a time. That way, it comes across as a lot more natural because they're not thinking about what they're saying rather than how they're saying it. And it, you could be talking about the dullest content in the world, but as long as you put some emphasis and energy behind it, it comes across very differently. So the trouble with kind of reading off of auto cues is that really you kind of come across as quite robotic. So I'm not a big fan of auto cues. So I get my students to kind of do a line at a time, do the line. If they're happy with that particular take, stop, and then move on to the next one. And then go into something like clips and just tidy up the head and tail and cut them together. That's transformational because people think I know what I'm going to do. I'm gonna just put out some kind of key phrases or words and kind of work around it. They end up doing 50 to 100 takes. Forget about what they've been talking about. Their energy levels dip. There's so many reasons for not doing that. I can't even begin to start. So if you plan it out, you should just be like a robot on rails. You're just literally just reading off, and it's written in your natural language. You're just reading off what you're saying. It's much easier to remember. And then it comes to post, and you can kind of cut that stuff down, and don't do stuff in one take as well. It's painful to watch when you see someone.
I'll have you know, I'm a one-take wonder. I do everything in one take.
Some people can do it.
I was on live radio for 14 years. I had
fair enough.
I had to be.
But this is a big but as well, and I've done videos about this. A large component of what we're doing on social is we're effectively pattern interrupting someone's day. We're going, okay, look at me on the feed, interact with my content. Now the difference between a text post and a video post on LinkedIn is a video post only counts as a view if you've played it for more than 3 seconds or more. Whereas a text post, when you scroll through it, that counts as a view. So you're having to work a lot harder to grab that person's attention to actually physically get them to click on the video to play it. So when they're in there, you need to keep them hooked. You need to keep them watching. And a large part of what I teach you on the course is using pattern interrupts to do that. So, I don't care if you're telling me, the secrets of the universe or next week's winning lottery numbers. If you're doing it on a static angle and you're doing it for 10 minutes, I'm getting bored real quick. So you need to mix things up. I try and imagine that my entire audience has ADHD, so it's just like boom, 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 all the time, just bombarding them with stuff because it gets very boring very quickly.
Really.
Do you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. I think that this is something that is so topical right now, and people are still sitting there wondering, how do I start? We've got some answers for them. You've got the answers for them. How do people get a hold of you? What do they need to do to engage you?
Just search for me on LinkedIn. That Video Nerd. You can't miss me. Nice big pink banner. Nice big smiley face jumping out at you with my cover story. But best piece of advice I can give you is pick up one of these, hit record, and just do it. Just jump off the cliff. Pull the ripcord and jump off the cliff.
Get the new 13, I think, too. But anyway.
Yeah. That's the 12 Pro Max, that one.
Other than the fact that you like Final Cut, this has been a brilliant interview. I appreciate it very much.
Well, I've always got to end with the Brits. Is who's the football team that you support? See if we can still be friends.
I'm not actually, believe it or not, a massive football fan. I'm not a massive fan of team sports, but I will watch tennis. So
there you go.
And my favorite tennis player back in the day was actually Pete Sampras, Pistol Pete.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
Good choice. Good
Yeah,
choice.
very good. Very good. Well, Nick, thanks so much. We're going to put his everything in the show notes to connect with him, but go look for Nick as That Video Nerd in LinkedIn, and I bet you'll see videos of him when you find him. Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Thank you for listening to the Social Your Sales podcast. If you enjoyed this show, please share it with your friends. Social is meant to be social, and sharing is a great way for us to meet you and get to know you. Click on share and tag us at FunnelAmplified, or just use #SocialYourSales.